So I will introduce Michael and have him come up and share some information, and you'll hear some more about his story this afternoon. But thanks for being here. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. First, just having me here from Seattle. It's the weather's a little chilly. So, I walked over from my Gurney Hall this morning, like a half hour. Holy crap, it's cold. So I spent one semester here. When was that, Todd? 1981. Todd and I were on the basketball team together. I ended up transferring to South Dakota Tech, but so I haven't been back since. So it's great to be here. I had a great day yesterday, so a lot of time with a lot of entrepreneurs and just people in general. So I'm here because I start companies. That's what I do. That's all I've ever done. I'm a horrible employee. I failed. I went to personal bankruptcy because I was stupid. I mean, all the things that you kind of do as an entrepreneur, I've done. So I'm happy to share any questions you have about that journey. But also, I created a product called the Package Guard, and it is this little fine piece of plastic. And what it does, it sits on your front porch or your doorstep or wherever you get packages. And when a person places package here, as it says in big letters, the alarms or the alert is sent out to you saying, hey, you have a package. And if you're a neighbor, let's just say, what's your name?
Andrew.
Andrew's my neighbor. I can set up so Andrew gets those alerts as well. So if I'm out of town or I can come home that day or I'm whatever late, he can actually go by and pick up the package for me. And if some bad person would walk by and try to steal it, like Bo, tries to steal it, the very second it's lifted up off the device, a loud alarm comes from the device, about 100 decibels. So we have do we need a mic? Do we need the mic? Probably need the mic.
We need a mic. I'm going to go see if I can get one.
It's probably a battery issue. So the 100 decibel alarm goes off. Of course, scares the thief. What we're seeing is somewhere around 60% of the people, some of the time, they're dropping the package, and it actually has to do with the size of the package. The larger the package, then almost all will drop them. So that's the product. We literally just releasing the product here in the last week, starting releasing in the next couple weeks. So, but a year and a half ago, I did a Kickstarter to launch the product, because Kickstarter is really doing two things: provide some funding, but also the market tells you if your product is worthy or not. And that's actually the more important thing. Because if you run a Kickstarter and no one backs it, it's probably a very good hint that no one cares about your product. So it's market validation. So it's two things that you really get out of doing Kickstarter. And there's actually several platforms outside of Kickstarter. There's Kickstarter that most people have heard of. May not know what it is, but they probably heard of the brand Kickstarter. And there's also Indiegogo, and there's GoFundMe. There's several different funding platforms. Kickstarter and Indiegogo are probably the most common for products or services that you come up with. So it's a very interesting platform. You really have to plan extremely well before you ever start it. Like, let's just say you want to start April 1st. You should be planning now. You should be hiring a PR person probably 6 weeks, 8 weeks out to help plan the launch of the product. So it's not for the faint of heart. It's not easy. It takes a lot of preparation, and but it tells you a lot of things very quickly. Within 30 days, you're going to know whether your product has any legs, whether consumers care about it, and two, will people actually pay for it, which is just as important. Because what I tell people, when you're starting your product or starting your service, when you're telling your friends about it, and your mom and dad and your cousin and your uncle, they all love it, because they love you, but they're lying to you. So your family's the biggest liars to you about the product or service. So my advice always is talk to 100 people that don't know you, and they'll give you the real answer. So even better if they don't even know that you're involved with the company. It's even better because they can give you more honest answers. But the more anonymous you can be, the better. So people will be more honest with their feedback. which is really what you need. When you're creating a product or service, whether you're 16 or 60, you need to find out what the consumers will do and what they think about the product. Because I can almost guarantee you that the idea you have today is wrong, meaning it needs to be tweaked or changed to be successful. There's been very, very few companies ever started in the history of the world that have been perfect right out the gate. They usually need to be changed along the way to make them be successful. Facebook wasn't the way Facebook is today. Google wasn't the way Google is today. Amazon wasn't Amazon the way it is today. All those things have changed along the path because they're listening to customers and making changes along that path so they can be better, so they can fit their customers better. So it really is about finding and talking to customers is the most important thing you can do at this stage of the big idea that you're working with today. All 8 of you that have come up with your ideas and your business plans, the most important thing is talking to customers. They'll tell you everything if you listen to them and if they're truthful with you. That's why I say it's better to talk to people that don't know you because they'll give you better feedback. So any questions you have, feel free to interrupt me at any point in time, and I'll easily stop where I'm at mid-sentence. Go ahead.
What keeps the alarm from going off?
Oh, on this? You have an app. You just hit the app, it says pick a package. So I forgot to say that, but yeah, there's an app attached to the device. So it talks to your Wi-Fi, your home. Yeah, I know.
I wish you'd done differently.
Yeah, well, I wish I would have planned 6 months ahead. Been smarter. That was one of the things I learned. I didn't plan far enough ahead. I started about 6 weeks out. I thought that was enough time. And what I learned that it wasn't enough time. I should have probably started 12 weeks. I spent, if you don't include the product cost, I think the prototype, because I created one prototype, kind of a duct tape and baling wire. I spent about $3,000 to do my Kickstarter, not including the PR person, which is another $5,000. So I spent $8,000 to raise $45,000. So it kind of gives you that idea. And that's not too dissimilar to anyone else. I mean, when you see someone that raises $100,000, they probably spent 10 or 15 to get there, maybe more, because they're probably producing ads to generate traffic on Facebook or whatever social media platform their favorite is, Twitter, etc. So yeah, it's not, and you know, Kickstarter takes percentage of that. I think it's 7% if I remember correctly. So you know, when you raise 45, you're only getting, I think it netted like 32 or something at the end of the day, between fees and people I had to pay, and you know, so plan that accordingly.
But at 7%, what do you get from Kickstarter? What do they do to help you?
Well, being on Kickstarter has some value. The brand has some value. The Kickstarter itself, people troll that and look for interesting products. So they're actually on Kickstarter looking for interesting products. A lot of people get alerts from Kickstarter, just emails saying, hey, here's the latest and greatest, right? So there's part of the value. The other value is somebody like me or an investor looking at it and saying, oh, they got a Kickstarter and they were successful. That has, again, some value to it. Kickstarter, you can do a go or no-go, meaning it has to meet 100% funding to get the money, or you don't have to hit 100% funding to get the money. We chose either I got the 45,000, or if I only raised 40, I wouldn't get any money. So I chose to do it that way because I wanted the market to tell me the product was either good or bad.
How do you make sure that the delivery guy knows that you have that in front of one of your doors?
Is there a timer before the alarm?
We learned that in Kickstarter, by the way. We learned that was like, oh, you have to fix that. So, go ahead.
2 questions. What is, maybe you mentioned this already, but what is the retail price of that product? And my other question is, can you speak to how the Kickstarter investors recoup their investment?
So it's $89 retail. That's a whole different story about finding the pricing as well. I went through that yesterday. It's kind of a game. There's a card there underneath your door, or that's probably something important. What was the next question? Sorry.
I was asking how the Kickstarter investors
Oh.
recoup their money.
They got no recourse, by the way. Kickstarter is amazing. There is no legal recourse for me to do anything. I can stop and not give them any product. and they have no recourse whatsoever. So it's truly a donation, by the way, even when it goes on Kickstarter. It's just a donation. There is no legal recourse. Zero. It's all up to you. I mean, your goodwill to do what you say. Yeah, absolutely. And all the crowdfunding platforms are like that, by the way. They're all basically based on a donation. But
Based on that, does Kickstarter or does any of the other platforms do anything to vet you that you are a legitimate thing and you're not just there to scam people?
yeah, no, there is a vetting.
Obviously, you're not getting your money if you don't reach your goal as part
Sure,
of that.
part of that's, if you choose that, but I can choose not to do that. I can choose, I'll take whatever I get, right? So it's a choice by the entrepreneur to say, oh, you know what, if I only get 22 of my 45, I'll still keep 22. But there is a vetting process. It's fairly minor. As long as you have, you know, a product, you know, and it doesn't even have to be a product, as long as you have renderings, there has to be something in place. It can't be just, oh, I have an idea and here's a napkin sketch. That won't get through. There is a vetting process, but you require those. You can't do it without those two things. So I'm sure they deny people, but I don't know what the percentage is.
Do you have to have like a tax ID number or have a legal entity?
No, you don't. At least not on Kickstarter. At least did it 18 months ago. Yeah. I mean, we did. I used a different one, not the one I have now, because it wasn't a real thing, right? Because most of us, when you start that, you don't have a real thing, you don't have a real company. You wouldn't incorporate until you knew the thing actually, someone cared about buying it. Somebody might reverse that, but they're probably wasting time and money to do it the other way around. Yeah. So let me talk about pricing, because pricing is super important, because if you can't sell a product, you shouldn't be doing whatever you're doing. So pricing can be done in really simple manner. Let's just say you have a product or a service. It doesn't have to be a product, but let's just say it's a service. Let's say you have a service that you loan out hired work hands on a ranch. So how do you figure out what people are willing to pay for that, right? So the easiest way to do that, again, whether it's a product or service, create an ad for Facebook. And you just say what your service is simple as you can. Create a decent image about the product or service, and put a price on it. And people will click on it, or they won't click on it. And that's how simple it is. You have to figure out where they start clicking and where they stop clicking. That's really what I did and what most people will do. And I did that before I ever built the product. I did that while I was seeing if I could do what I thought I could do at a price that made sense. So when I realized I started at $129, just worked my way down. 129, 119, 99, 79, just worked my way down. And I saw some clicks at 99, some clicks at 89, more clicks at 79, a lot more clicks at 69. So I knew somewhere between $69 and $79 was the price point. And I could sell it there. Obviously I know I could sell it for cheaper, but I need to sell it for the most amount. So if I assume I can sell it for $70, say $79, $70, $80, then I know I have to build a product for around a third of that. Again, that's a very generalized rule for a hard product. So that is how I figured out, okay, if they're willing to pay $80 for it, what do I need to make it for? So I knew I needed to make it for $25, $30. And people thought I could make it for $25, $30. The smart people that build weird stuff, right? So that is why I continued and went to the Kickstarter was my next step. Because then I said, okay, people will give me money. How many people will give me money? Is it 50 or is it 500 or is it 5,000? So those are just the vetting process of your idea. And again, whether that's a product or service doesn't matter. You can do all those tests with Facebook. It's pretty simple. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You spend less than $50 to do that. I think I spent $100 to figure out the pricing. These are all ways you can do inexpensively to figure out what your product or service could be sold to by a customer. Because at the end of the day, your idea is always worth as much as a customer will pay for it. I think someone asked me, like, how do you figure out the value of your company? Well, the value of your company is what somebody's willing to pay for it. It doesn't matter what I believe. Because I'm not buying it, I'm selling it. So I believe it's always more than he's willing to pay for it, or she's willing to pay for it. So we have to test those things to figure them out.
Back to funding again. I know you've done several startups. Are most of them self-funded? This is your first Kickstarter? Or
Yeah, this is the first time I did a Kickstarter platform. Yeah, I did, quite a bit of research through friends and friends of friends of friends to figure out what's the best method to the madness of Kickstarter. So the one thing I didn't get right was I didn't start early enough. Yeah, for some reason wasn't clear. I didn't hear that enough from people. Everything else I was pretty clear on, but I should have started, you know. And it would have been better if I had a few products instead of just one prototype, like a half a dozen, because then I could have sent it to some media people. That would have been very helpful. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to spend money to do that. It was more of a monetary choice. Because, you know, you're trying to create the prototype of your business with the least amount of money, because you don't know if anyone cares about it. So you don't want to spend 50 grand and realize, oh, no one wants that product. It's all right to spend $500, but not, especially if you have a wife, and don't want at all. So you just cannot live without producing that widget. I call it a widget because I don't know what it is. That is what makes successful entrepreneurs, is figuring that out. It's like you just can't sleep at night until you do that thing. And sometimes it's the market's proving you wrong, and sometimes the market's proving you right. But you have to have that doggedness, that drive to say, I don't care, I'm gonna make this product. Many people will tell you you're crazy. Completely fine, and expected, by the way. If you go to Facebook on the package card, you'll see several bots, several comments of people just saying this will never work. And you see some people saying great idea. So there's always people that have a different opinion. But if you believe, you know, deep in your bones that this thing that you're making, product or service, if you believe it can work, then you should go forward. But you should also listen to the market and not listen to your parents and or friends all the time, because they may or may not be right. I would not believe my parents. Absolutely not. I mean, I love them to death, but it's more important than the other wacky questions. I'm happy to share any insights. Okay.
Yeah, I have a question as
Oh,
opposed to, it's,
okay.
and I may have missed this if you addressed it earlier, but can you explain the difference between angel investors and, you know, getting investors in your company? What's an angel investor versus a venture capital investor?
Sure.
And what types of companies they're interested in investing in?
Yeah, so I raised angel investment for my product after post Kickstarter. So I raised about $750,000, not about, exactly $750,000, through angel investors in Seattle, LA, Denver. And those are angel investors because this is not a VC product, it's not a venture capital type product. It's not large enough at this point in time, meaning it doesn't have enough opportunity to be $1 billion company. It's okay to not raise or even go after venture capital money because it's different money than angel money. Venture capital money looks for $1 billion exits. So your idea has to be able to scale. Maybe it can't scale on a regional basis, it needs to scale on a US basis or a world basis. That's a VC investment. An angel investment is something that, it's not necessarily your friends. Your friends might be an angel, but more likely it's probably friends of friends. They are looking for a return that's maybe 10x, but they also are looking to help people. There's a little bit of, I want to help people be successful in most angel investors. Not all of them, but most of them they have some reason to do this other than monetary reason. Most angel investors, the money they're giving you, you could lose and they don't care one bit. It doesn't matter to them because it's not money that they care about, meaning they don't need it to live on. So those are your angel investors you want, because many companies fail. It's if you're gonna bet, you're gonna place a bet. You go to Las Vegas, and you're gonna bet on the winners and be successful or fail in a small business. You should place your money on fail because you're gonna win more. But none of us believe that, right? As entrepreneurs, we don't believe that's possible. So the angel money that you go after, friends and friends of friends, you know, they're going to be asking for 15, 20% of your company, maybe 25% of your company at the top end. If they're asking for more than that, they're not a good angel investor. Either they don't know what they're doing, or you don't know what you're doing. I don't know which, or it could be both. But you should never give away more than 25% of the company, ever, unless, I really can't think of a reason why you would do that, especially when you're early, if it's your first round of funding. So when you hear things like, oh, you know, even on Shark Tank, every once in a while you hear, oh, I gave away, you know, 45% of my company. Like, wow. There's two mistakes there: a mistake by the angel investor and a mistake by the entrepreneur. Both of them made a mistake. Because the entrepreneur controls it. He can say or she can say no, just as easily as he or she can say yes. If the angel investor asks for 40%, either they don't know what they're doing, or they're really just bad investors. Because if they take more than 25%, then they're disincentivizing you as an entrepreneur to be successful, because you want less. So you don't want it to be a 50-50 partner in an angel investor. Now, it could be a 50-50 partnership with maybe their strategic investor, or whether they have something that makes sense for you. But you would never do that just as an angel investor to give you money. So that's the difference between angel investing and then, you know, VC. It's a small percent for VC, a little larger for angel, but not much. And then more of it is SBA loans and or just friends and family, just literally taking loans from people, which is not uncommon at all. We've all done that. I wouldn't recommend doing it from your friends and or relatives, but I've done it myself, so not something I would do again. We need to go next door.
Pretty soon, I get one last question, if
Yeah.
anybody's got a.
Go ahead.
What's your opinion on people who sell their business or company pretty quickly? YouTube, for example, sold them to Google for, it was like a year or two after they started.
How much was it though?
I think it was $1 billion, so
Exactly.
500 million each.
So,
But let's say it was a smaller amount.
okay. Yeah, so I mean the answer's kind of easy on the billion because
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna give you $1 billion. Yeah, okay. It's so personal. Selling a company is personal when you want to do that. It's just a personal piece of you as an entrepreneur. So some people build companies not to ever sell them. Some people build them knowing they're going to sell them at some point in time. They just don't know when that will be. So, but many entrepreneurs are building companies because they, at some point in time, they want to get some value out of that, of building that for 10 or 12 or 7 or whatever, however many years, right? You want to get some value back because you put your blood, sweat, and tears into that. And you may be, you know, financially just all of your money's into one nest egg and you kind of want to diversify. So it's very personal on selling a company. If somebody said to me tomorrow, they would give me a certain number, I would walk away from that because there's a number for me. In 6 months, there's going to be a different number. And 6 months ago, it was a different number. So it's always going to be different for me. And you, if you were in my shoes, it would be different for you because you have a different viewpoint on how you wanted to do it. So it's just very, the answer is it depends. But I think more than just saying it depends, it's very personal. Because it's up to you as an entrepreneur and who your partner and partners are. And you'll probably even talk to some of your angel investors about, hey, I have an offer. What do you think? That's what I've always done. I went back to people that helped fund it and said, hey, we have an offer. It's this. It's okay. What do you think? If I think it's even good enough to present to them, right? And you'll get feedback. Good feedback. Because they're, you know, those are kind of who you report to, right? Your angel investors.
Do you have a board of directors?
I don't have an official board, but I have an advisory board. I always work advisory boards because I'm not smart enough.
Is it ownership or no?
No, well, they have equity. Here's how I would do that, right? So when I started Kickstarter, when I did Kickstarter, when I formed a corporation, a real backstory, I said, hey, I need to find some advisors who can help me build this. I knew nothing about the packaging business, honestly. So I reached out to some UPS folks, and I got a couple of UPS people interested. I knew some other people that I wanted to kind of be involved. So I talked to them and said, hey, I'm going to form an advisory board. I'm going to give you anywhere from 0.5% to 1% of the company. It's kind of depending on what I thought they were going to bring to the table. That is normal. If you give them more than 1%, you're probably too generous. If you give them less than 0.5%, you're probably too cheap. So you've got to value them there somewhere in there. That's a very generalized rule, but it's fairly normal between 0.5% and 1% to give to an advisor to sit on an advisory board. Because what you do is communicate with those people probably monthly, early on, definitely monthly, and just get feedback and they help you make connections is really what they're doing. They're helping you introduce you to opportunities with your product and also opportunities maybe to raise additional money. So I highly recommend an advisory board. Even if it's formal or not formal, you should have a few people around that you're talking to. And what's great about that is you can do that. They don't have to be in your city or town. They can be anywhere because you can talk to them on the phone because it's really ID.